You know that feeling when you're in a relationship and it just feels like this impossible puzzle you can't solve? Well, what if I told you that a lot of the most painful, confusing parts of love aren't just your fault or their fault? They're actually patterns. Patterns that can be explained by this really powerful psychological theory. Okay, let's get into it.
So this is a quote from a woman named Tamara, and I'm guessing her story hits home for a lot of people. That constant anxiety, right? Reading into every little thing, always wondering where they are, and that sinking feeling in your gut that something is just off. It is an absolutely exhausting way to try and love someone.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? Why does it feel like a roller coaster? You've got these incredible highs, but then these gut-wrenching lows. It all feels so random and chaotic, but what if it's not random at all? What if there's a predictable code running underneath everything? A code that, once you crack it, makes all the chaos make sense. And that code, well, it's called attachment theory. It's this incredible field of research that gives us a whole new way to talk about why we act the way we do in relationships. And it pretty much boils down to 3 main styles that describe how we connect with people. Let's break them down.
Okay, first up, we have the anxious style. If this sounds like you probably crave a ton of closeness and intimacy. You spend a lot of time thinking about your relationship, you're super sensitive to your partner's moods, and deep down you might worry that they don't really love you or that they're going to leave.
Next, there's the avoidant style. For someone with this style, intimacy can feel like a threat, like it's chipping away at their independence. So when a partner gets too close, their gut reaction is to pull back, to create some space. They really value their autonomy, and they often see depending on someone as a sign of weakness. And finally, we have the secure style. You can think of these as the people who are just kind of naturally good at intimacy. They find it easy to be warm and loving, they're comfortable depending on someone, and they're comfortable with someone depending on them. They just trust the connection and don't get thrown by the little things.
Now here's where it gets really, really interesting. These styles, they aren't just personality quirks you picked up somewhere. Nope, they are wired deep into our biology. We are talking about a system in your brain that has evolved over millions of years for one core reason: to keep you alive.
It's called the attachment system. Think of it like this hardwired program running in your brain, and its only job is to make sure you stay physically close to the people you rely on. When you're a kid, that's your parents. When you're an adult, it's your partner. This need for connection isn't a flaw or a weakness. It's a fundamental feature of being a human being.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Our culture is always telling us to be totally independent, right? That being needy is a bad thing. But biology tells a completely different story. The moment we attach to someone, our brains literally wire us together into a single unit. Their well-being affects our heart rate, our blood pressure, our stress levels. So dependency isn't a choice. It's just how we're built. So what happens when that vital connection feels like it's in danger? Well, your attachment system flips a switch and it triggers something called protest behavior. This is where things like excessive calling and texting come from, or maybe threatening to leave or acting cold and distant, or even trying to make your partner jealous. Does any of that sound familiar? These are not signs that you're crazy. They are the completely predictable screams of a biological system in distress.
And all of this leads us to the most common and often most painful relationship dynamic out there, the anxious avoidant trap. This is what happens when one person's desperate attempt to get closer directly triggers the other person's deep-seated instinct to run away. It creates this vicious, painful cycle.
Okay, so take a look at this chart. It shows you exactly how this spiral works. You start off in a comfort zone, right? Everything's fine. But then some small thing happens. A text goes unanswered, let's say. For the anxious person, that triggers the need to get closer, to get reassurance. But for the avoidant person, that very act of pursuit feels like a threat, so they pull away. And just like that, you're both kicked out of the comfort zone and into this danger zone, where every single move you make just makes the situation worse.
So here is the absolute heart of the problem. You've got 2 people whose brains are running completely opposite survival programs. The anxious person's brain is screaming, "I have to get closer to be safe," while the avoidant person's brain is screaming, "I have to create distance to be safe." It's the perfect storm of conflicting needs. Each person's attempt to calm themselves down just triggers the other person's deepest, darkest fears. And this quote from the story of a couple named Marcia and Craig, man, it just captures the tragedy of it all. He was at his worst with her not in spite of her, being the closest person in his life, but because she was.
Her desire for closeness activated his need for distance. It locked them both into this incredibly painful dance they couldn't escape.
Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But here's the good news. Understanding the code is the first step to rewriting it. This isn't about blaming your partner or labeling yourself. It's about empowering yourself to build connections that feel good, that feel secure. So what's the game plan? Well, step 1, you've got to figure out your own style. Just get real with yourself about your tendencies. Step 2 is learning to spot your triggers. Notice when that attachment system is kicking into high gear. Step 3 is the real game changer. You have to learn to communicate your needs directly, instead of acting them out. And finally, step 4, especially for anxious types, adopt an abundance mindset. You have to know there isn't just one person for you. There are lots of secure people out there who can meet your needs.
And here is the beautiful, kind of mind-blowing paradox in all of this. The goal isn't to become some perfect, independent island. It's actually the opposite. Having a secure base, a partner you can truly, deeply count on, doesn't make you weaker. It actually makes you stronger. It gives you the safety and confidence to go out in the world and be more adventurous, more creative, more you.
So, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. We can't escape our biology. We are wired for connection. That is a fact. So if having that secure, dependable partner is the very thing that helps us thrive, then the most important question you can ever ask yourself isn't, how do I stop needing someone? It's, who am I choosing to depend on? Are you choosing a safe harbor, or are you choosing a storm?